welcome to the Prophecy Club. Today we're going to talk about worthless dollars. As a new prophecy student, I tended to think that there was more of like a month, a day, and a year to a prophecy. But as I have matured in understanding Bible prophecy, God really works more in terms of seasons. In other words, there is a season for the fall of America. There's a season for the fall apart of our financial system. And I believe that we're on the precipice of several seasons about to hit us probably very quickly, one right after another. And I'm not going to try to go into exactly the order, but today we're going to be talking about worthless dollars. But I also think that on the heels of worthless dollars, there is going to be a season of earthquakes. And then we're going to lead into a lot of other things, and I'm not prepared to talk about all of those. So today, let's talk about worthless dollars. As I said the other day, 7/26 of 2019, I woke up out of a dream. Now, I don't have a whole lot of dreams. I'm not going to sit here and say that every one of them is from God. But the longer I have lived and the longer I've walked with the Lord, the better I am at discerning when it's really God and when it's not. And this one, I'm pretty sure this is of God, and I'm pretty sure that what God is saying is that the next season is worthless dollars. See, I'm like you. You're listening to this program. That means you're called to be a watchman. I'm a watchman. I'm not a prophet. My wife is a prophet. I've worked with prophets. I know what prophets look like, sound like, act like, and I'm not a prophet. But I do function in the role of a prophet in that I watch and I warn people. That's one of the functions of a prophet. So I believe what God is saying is He's telling me, a watchman, and I'm relaying to you, fellow brothers and sisters, which are watchmen, that the next season, and it may not be the very next season. That sounds kind of contradictory, doesn't it? But in other words, the season that we're coming to next is probably going to be worthless dollars, but we're about to be hit with several things, earthquakes and other things. But today, let's talk about worthless dollars. I think that's what He's saying. He's telling me, stand the watchman, tell my fellow watchmen that the next season is worthless dollars. So let's start with the dream. I dreamed that I was a young man riding a motorcycle. I pulled into a gasoline station and I gave them a double handful of dollar bills and told them to reserve some gasoline for me, meaning that that's telling us that either gasoline is in short supply at this time or that dollars are in short supply. In other words, it may take more dollars to get a tank of gas then. And I said, I'll be right back. The dollar bills I gave them had been wet. Now they were all wadded up into clumps, but they were dry, but they had been wet. When I walked back in, the lady was now pulling these dried, watered bills apart, and as she was, they were splitting in two, as in they were two very thin pieces of paper, and between those thin pieces of paper, each one of them had a small note about the size of a fortune cookie. And she was saying, well, these are counterfeit. These are worthless. And I was seeing them and I was thinking the same thing. I didn't know my bills were worthless. I didn't know they were two thin pieces of paper. And I certainly didn't know there was a note inside. But the notes were saying things like, I can't believe you believe this bill was ever had any value. This bill is worthless, and things like that. In other words, the people that made the bills were mocking those people that ever believed in the bills, meaning that the bills that we now have in our bank accounts, that we now have in our purses and our billfolds, are already worthless because we're coming into a new system. I've talked about that, and it's not me saying it. I quote other people. Now let's go to what Shane Warren said about worthless dollars. Remember in 2011, he had this vision. He said, I was watching television and all of a sudden it turned into a vision of the future. And I saw what appeared to be a weather broadcast, and the news anchor was saying, the most amazing thing is going on right now. It's tragic. It's tragic. Normally hurricanes hit on the coastal areas, but there was a hurricane I saw spreading all across America, and the satellite image shows it from the north, south, and from the east to the west, covering all of America. The scene changed to a news reporter in the eye of the storm. The wind was blowing violently, and he said, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is not a natural storm. It's It's not normal. It's raining. And he reached down and picked up a fistful of dollar bills. He says it's raining dollar bills. It's almost like they're worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. It was raining worthless dollars. Now, there's more to that vision we've talked about other times, which would get us off of our subject today if I went into it. But the point is, I believe that we're coming into a season where our current Federal Reserve dollars, say the prophets, will be worthless. Let me say it again. I hope you're listening. This is not bad news. This is part of God's judgment, trying to bring the arrogant Americans, the prideful Americans that don't think they need God, they don't need the Bible, they don't need church, they don't need none of that stuff. Why, they're doing just fine. They've got their house, they've got their car, they've got their bank account, and they're just having fun. Yeah, well, this is part of his soul-winning efforts. And if you're walking with the Lord, you need not fear it, as the Word said yesterday. And I don't know if you heard that yesterday's broadcast, but if you didn't, you should go listen to it. I, in my almost 6 years of being on radio, have never said and had happen to me what happened to me yesterday. And if you have not heard it, if you need a little encouragement, go and listen to it. It's a prophetic word that I believe God gave me for Prophecy Club listeners. And if you haven't heard it, go listen to it. It's, matter of fact, the first word to look for in the broadcast is important. I don't use that very often. 26 years, I think I've used it maybe 4 times. So when you see me label a radio broadcast with the word important first, you know that that one is important that you listen to. All right, let's go on. Then July 25th of 2010, Leslie had a dream. Now, she's a prophet. And Bub, when she says, I heard from God, everybody that knows Leslie respects her. They love her, but they respect her. When she said God spoke, we know God spoke. Okay, so here's the dream. She says, in my dream, Stan and I were watching a mudslide in progress. Some houses had already fallen, and we began going from house to house shouting, you're on the edge. If you don't want to fall in the mudslide, you have to balance your house. You have to stop standing on the edge and hanging over. Only a few houses remained standing. Now, pause. Hang on. Let me explain what's saying. I believe that is a warning to the church. That is a warning especially to those people listening to our broadcast, especially this one. Now, that's saying that if you financially are on the edge, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, if you've kind of got your credit cards all strung out, the dream is saying is that you need to get your financial house in order. Maybe you need to sell some things, pay off some bills. I mean, I'm not trying to give financial advice. As a matter of fact, let me give you a disclaimer. This is Bible prophecy or prophecy from God's prophets. This is not a financial advice program, and I'm not giving financial advice. What I'm saying is I'm interpreting the dream, and the dream is saying, if you are on the edge financially, get your financial house in order. That's the first part. Then the scene changed. We are on a boat, meaning Leslie and I, were in a boat floating in mud. There were already fish everywhere in our boat. Suddenly, fish from all directions began jumping out of the mud. Now, let me explain what's happening. The boat represents this ministry. The mud represents this world. This ministry is in a filthy world. And the fish already in our boat probably represents the some 20-some-odd thousand, whatever the number is, the Lord knows, that we have been able to lead to Him. In other words, we've already presented a lot of people to the Lord over our 25 years in ministry. But then, when it said suddenly, fish began to jump from all directions out of the mud represents the world of sin, into our boat, meaning that when the things that we have been telling people begin to come to pass, they're going to start listening. As I told you, June 14th of 2008, that was the night that I told the Lord I was on the 18-city speaking tour talking about oil in Israel and also judgment coming on America. And I said, Lord, I hope you're pleased with what we're doing because it's not going so good. Spending $3,500 per city, advertising, not many people showing up, not many people are getting saved. and I hope you're pleased with it. That's the night that he spoke to me and said, quote, Stan, I will give you the money to drill the well in Israel, unquote. But what I haven't also told in most cases is that for the rest of the evening, it was like I was going to school. Most of the evening, I can't remember. It was like God was doing a download into my spirit. But one of the other things I do remember, and this was an audible voice that said, when those prophecies I gave to your wife, and that's exactly the way he referred to it. He didn't call her Leslie. He said, when those prophecies I gave to your wife begin to come to pass, people from all directions will begin to turn and listen to your ministry. Now, that's what it's talking about. Let's go back and reread that last sentence and continue. We were on a boat floating in mud. There were already fish everywhere in our boat. Suddenly, fish from all directions began jumping out of the mud into our boat. Among them were several very large fish. I was holding a huge, unusual-looking fish which had no scales. Well, it looked like a skinned cat. Stan asked, "What is that?" I replied, "It's a fish, as if you can't see." Stan inquired, "Well, why is it so strange-looking? I've never seen a fish like that before." I answered, "This fish looks like a chicken with the skin peeled. They have nothing to protect them now. They are jumping in our boat when their houses fell in the mudslide." This is a warning, brothers and sisters, and I believe that this is not a warning to people that don't listen to Prophecy Club. This is not a warning to the world. The world are going to be those people that are jumping out of the mud, or those fish jumping out of the mud into our boat that are turning and beginning to listen to what we're telling them. Meaning that when our dollars go worthless, and this is not the only person I'm about to give you. Remember, the Bible says in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. I'm about to give you 2 or 3. I'm about to give you 3 or 4 that are saying that the next season is worthless dollars. Let's go on to the next one. So we had Daniel Davis speak, and he made a DVD of which I can't remember the name of it. Oh, yeah, yes, I do too. I Saw the Dollar Dead, again, available at Prophecy Club. And by the way, we have a great deal going on our summer blowout right now. You get a whole handful of DVDs for peanuts. I'll tell you about it at the end of the program. Or you can also go to watchprophecyclub.com and watch it instantly right now. Anyway, let's go on. So Daniel Davis told in his DVD, he had it's one dream, but he had 2 different scenes to it. And sometimes you kind of have like dreams back to back like Leslie did, and he had the same thing that happened to him. He is a missionary down in Costa Rica, I think it is. He said, I was standing in what appeared to be downtown Dallas, along with multitudes of people. I noticed big screens upon the many of the large buildings. Now, Ken Peters, in his DVD, also spoke about those same things. They were like mylar, thin, but they're TV screens, and they covered the whole side of the big buildings in these downtown cities. Now, we don't have them yet. That is technology that we have not seen, so that sort of dates what is going to happen here. That was also associated with the fall of America in Ken Peters' dream, and also associated with the lopping off the heads of the Christians. So this may be more in the future. This may not be as imminent. That may be good news. Let's go on, though. He said, so I saw in the size of many large buildings these screens. Then suddenly a man who looked like he was a government official appeared on the big screens and began to make an announcement. He said, ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. America, as you have known it, has ceased to exist. All property lines have been dissolved, and the U.S. dollar is worthless. When the people heard this announcement, they began to panic. All right, now, hang on. Let's pause just a second. I have heard rumors that I cannot verify, but I've heard rumors. I heard people say that the U.S. all capital, the United States of America, that corporation, let me rephrase it, the corporation called the United States of America, that is the all-cap corporation. I have heard that they have been in bankruptcy for several years. I do not know if that is true. That's just a rumor. I've heard it from several people, but I do not know if that's true. And I've also heard that they are about to come out with a new kind of a system. Well, again, we read that from the other guy's article the other day. A new financial system is on the horizon. Well, that should not surprise us prophecy students a bit, because we know that the time is going to come when no man might buy or sell save he had the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. So that does not surprise us. We understand that there is a new financial system. It will be global because no man can buy or sell save he had the mark, meaning they have to track every purchase, every transaction, every one of them. That's the only way you can stop people from buying or selling, is if you have to track every purchase. And the only way you can track every purchase is if every purchase goes through a system that is monitored. And that probably means one system. And that just happens to be the rumors that some people are sending me emails on that say that they are in the process of setting up. Now, again, I do not know that. That's not me saying that. These are emails I've heard, and I've also read the article the other day from the other guy. Now, let's repeat that part. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. America, as you have known it, has ceased to exist. Okay, hang on. What could cause that? America, as you have known it, has ceased to exist. Well, that could be because the Russians attacked, and whatever the president is at that time quickly ran to the red phone and picked it up, and Russia answered on the other end, and our president said, stop the bombing, I surrender, unconditional surrender, stop the bombing, I surrender. Meaning, he just turned over our nation to them because he wanted to stop the bombing. Or it could mean that this whole new financial system, as the guy said the other day, is about to come into place, and that is a sign that maybe all nations lower their borders. I mean, just like Bible said, Revelation says, and they give their power and strength unto the beast. So it could be the fulfillment of that, but it's something that says our nation, our setup, the United States as we have known it, has changed. I've thought about this for a lot of years. What could that be? And these are the two best guesses I've come up with. Now let's go to the next part of the sentence. All property lines have been dissolved. That could be a surrender speech, or that also could be part of them setting up an entirely new system where everybody is in the system and somehow everybody is given a chunk of property. I don't understand that. We aren't there yet. I'm just saying that that is part of it. But then the third part of it is the U.S. dollar is worthless. So the first part about the mudslide, the fish jumping into our boat, sounds to me like that is an in the process dream. Then the worthless dollars blowing in the wind, worthless as leaves. That sounds like that is an in the process picture. Then counterfeit bills that I saw, that's an in the process. But when it says the U.S. dollar is worthless, that is a fulfilled thing. In other words, there's a picture of being in the process, fish jumping everywhere into our boat. That is the fall of the dollar in process, you see. And then when we see Shane Warren says they're blowing in the wind, that is in the process. And then the dream I had, the dried, watered up dollar bills splitting and they're worthless. That's in the process. So we've got three different people saying that there's a process of the dollar falling into a position, and then we've got one person that says the U.S. dollar is worthless. Now let's go on to the second part of the dream. This is also from Daniel Davis, and he says, I was suddenly standing, this is, the scene changed, okay? I was suddenly standing at a gas station, at a convenience store. This convenience store looked a little different than the typical convenience store. It had a high fence attached to the back side of it, with high barbed wire, wrapped barbed wire across the top of the fence. Inside the fence were tractors, power equipment, lawnmowers, chainsaws, all kinds of different items that clearly had been recently traded. I was standing beside an Indian man who was clearly the owner or the manager of the convenience store gas station. Frantic people were pulling their vehicles up to the fuel pumps and buying gas. My intuition told me that they were heading west. Then an SUV pulled up with an open trailer in back. An entire family was in the vehicle, and they all looked worried. They had thrown all of their belongings in the trailer and strapped items on top of the vehicle. The father jumped out of the SUV and came up to the man, and he said, "I need to get a tank full of gas." And he pulled out his billfold to use some of his U.S. dollars. The store manager said, "I don't take U.S. dollars." The father looked concerned and asked, "Well, what do you take then?" The manager said, "Well, what do you have?" And the father and the manager both walked over to the trailer and started looking through the man's items, trying to find something of value that he could trade for a tank of gas. The store manager clearly was going to choose what he wanted in order to allow the frantic man to get some gas. Then the dream ended. Now let's go to what Maurice Sklar was told. He was told as part of which I'm going to read. I don't know if I have time to read the whole thing, but part of what he was told in a dream. Actually, it's not a dream. Maurice says he doesn't have dreams. He said he has visions. He said, "I was shown that the American dollar will lose about 30% of its present value. This will be the second drop since the previous 2008 drop of 20%. The dollar then will be worth half what it was before September 2008. This drop will cause great economic stress upon our nation." Neville Johnson out of Australia prophesied this. He said, "This heavenly visitor came to me in the night and began saying, within 7 years, it will be impossible for Christians to buy or sell." Now, that comes straight out of Revelation 13. "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive in the mark in the right hands of their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name." That was the year 2014, November 19th, 2014 to be exact. Okay, so we add 7 years, 14 to 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. But remember, we got a respite. Remember, Maurice Sklar was shown that there's a delay, so we may have more time. Neville Johnson further prophesied God is going to shake every nation. There's going to be a shaking in the financial systems of the nations. I'm telling you, what the prophecies are saying is that we are now in the season of this financial change. And let's go on. And that is very close now, where the financial systems of the world are going to be dramatically shaken. Change is coming. In the USA, a great shaking will occur with the present administration. Now, again, that was in 2015. And remember, we got a respite, so it's been delayed. That's good. 2015, he says, will see events in government occur which shall cause a shaking in the United States that has never been seen before. The government will be in turmoil and change will be forced upon the nation, Neville Johnson. He also said, then Joseph said, transfer. There's going to be a transfer of wealth to those in the kingdom of God who can righteously handle it. Now remember, Proverbs 13:22 says, the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. That prophecy is only found once in the Bible, so it's not a confirmed thing, but it has not been fulfilled. And apparently, from what the prophecies are saying, it is now about to take place. That's good news. That's real good news. Let's go on. He also said, those three things to me at the same time, Joseph said to me, these 7 years will see the greatest harvest that the world has ever seen, meaning the 7-year tribulation. So he's saying that this is the 7-year tribulation. He's saying we're on the precipice of it starting, and of course, we all understand that. In the midst of difficult times, trouble and difficult times, the greatest harvest the world has ever seen is going to be reaped. Then Terry Bennett said, I saw change in the governmental area, a dramatic change in our government. There will be a time of anarchy and chaos. Well, that could be caused financially. That also could be caused by 110,000 people arrested. Let's go on. For a while, we'll have a fractional government, which means basically our government come down to the state level because the military has to step in and seize control of our federal government. You'd call it a coup, But in all honesty, it'll be to help our nation. I believe that's the 110,000 people arrested. Trump's attempt to heal our nation. That is why the military will have to step in. Then he said later on, when the checks from our government stop coming to the people, the chaos will ensue. Let's jump to what Maurice Sklar said. The Lord said, America has been eaten from within. The days are numbered. There are 3 parts in this financial collapse. The first crack in the foundation happened in September of 2008. The collapse of the walls is the second drop in the dollar soon to come. The dollar will lose 30% more of its value. Then the whole financial system will crumble and all of America's wealth will be devoured. Well, that sounds like worthless dollars, doesn't it? But during this terrible time, I will visit America again. A third great awakening will come. But the days of America's glory and beauty will never be seen again. Well, that's straight out of Revelation 18. If you like Prophecy Club, if it is one of your ministries that you support, if you feel like we're doing the right thing, then would you consider sending us a donation? It's summertime, and man, our donations have dropped just down to almost nothing. So if you could help us right now, it would really be appreciated. prophecyclub.com. In 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation just as a simple project. Surprisingly, I began to receive information on 30 revelations and 2 visions beyond what is found in the Bible. God showed me a secret door, which is based upon a single word found in Revelation and Leviticus, linking the feasts to the prophecies. When linked, a person enters into an understanding of Bible prophecy not previously known. Even though I've been in the world of Bible prophecy for 40 years, frankly, I did not know anything of what is in this book. One prophetic word described it this way. There is a lock that I have put over a word in the book of Revelation that I'm going to open to you. It will turn so many books written on the end-time message into obsolete books. That's this book. Topics are, Jesus returns on what feast? The secret of the feasts. Who are the 2 witnesses? What is the morning star? The judgment seat explained. The great white throne explained. The nations explained. What is the shout? And the parables explained. Seals, trumpets, and vials go in what order? 2 amazing prophecy charts on the back flap, 12 inches by 9 inches. Imagine a book on prophecy that brings a fresh, new, accurate perspective. I don't want you to get 1 book for $20. I want you to get 5 books for $30 or 10 for $55. It's called The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, available at prophecyclub.com. The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. 1 for $20. No, don't do that. You want to get 5 for $30 or the best deal, 10 for $55. prophecyclub.com. At watchprophecyclub.com, you can have instant access to over 200 titles on a recurring monthly subscription of $20 or yearly for $200 at watchprophecyclub.com. That's $6,000 worth of information at watchprophecyclub.com. That's watchprophecyclub.com. What a deal. Now you can donate to the Prophecy Club on your mobile device. Just text the word prophecy to 444-999 and follow the prompts. Just text the word prophecy to 444-999 and follow the prompts. Message and data rates may apply. You can also listen to the Prophecy Club anytime on Alexa, Google Home, and YouTube. Just say, Alexa, play Prophecy Club. Our websites are prophecyclub.com, watchprophecyclub.com, sevenfoldmiraclecrusades.com, and a Prophecy Club has been a blessing to you. And if God has blessed you, when it comes time for your giving, please remember Prophecy Club. It's summertime. We really could use your help now. Thank you, and God bless.
Engage in the battle to win lost souls to Christ by supporting this ministry today.